I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Special Counsel Jack Smith has just filed an aggressive motion, but an appropriately tailored aggressive motion in the federal court for the Southern District of Florida before Judge Aileen Cannon in connection with the federal criminal case against Donald Trump and two co-defendants relating to the willful retention of national defense information, obstruction of justice, and making false statements. Of course, Donald Trump's co-defendants in that matter include Carlos de Oliveira, as well as Trump's valet, Waltine Nauta. In the instant motion, Special Counsel Jack Smith is requesting what is called a Garcia hearing, the second Garcia hearing that Special Counsel Jack Smith is requesting, this time as it relates to the lawyer for Carlos de Oliveira, and that lawyer is John Irving. John Irving is paid by Donald Trump's political action arm, the same way Donald Trump pays for the other co-defendants' lawyers in the various actions, as well as witnesses. And a Garcia hearing is a hearing that is set by a prosecutor, where a prosecutor believes there are unwaivable conflicts of interest that exist attendant to, related to the representation of a defendant or multiple defendants, as well as multiple witnesses that potentially have conflicts of interest, where one witness would be testifying against a co-defendant or a defendant where the same lawyer is representing everybody. In other words, a lawyer can't waive, or a client can't waive, rather, the conflict of interest. The lawyer can't have a client waive is the best way to phrase it. A conflict of interest where a lawyer's one client would testify against the lawyer's other client, which could lead to the client's conviction. And so with respect to Waltine Nauta, Donald Trump's valet, you will recall that Special Counsel Jack Smith previously requested a Garcia hearing there. Waltine Nauta is represented by Stan Woodward, who represents numerous individuals in Donald Trump's orbit, paid for by Donald Trump's political action arm. Waltine Nauta is said to be representing not only Waltine Nauta, but multiple witnesses as well, who Special Counsel Jack Smith intends to call as witnesses who will be testifying against Waltine Nauta. And also, for example, at one point in time, Stan Woodward was representing somebody by the name of Yusel Taveras, the top IT worker at Mar-A-Lago. And as soon as Yusel Taveras received a target letter from Special Counsel Jack Smith informing him, at the same time Jack Smith also sent a target letter to Carlos de Oliveira, the head of maintenance at Mar-A-Lago. Yusel Taveras, the former head IT worker at Mar-A-Lago, is like, okay, I can't have Stan Woodward as my lawyer. I'm going to hire another lawyer. And you know what happened almost immediately in June? After Yusel Taveras terminated Stan Woodward, the lawyer being paid by Trump's PAC, well, then Yusel Taveras said to Jack Smith, I'm willing to tell you the truth now. I'm going to tell you what happened. This is what Donald Trump did. This is what Waltine Nauta did. This is what Carlos de Oliveira did. And now Yusel Taveras is cooperating with the government and finally telling the truth once that conflict of interest is removed. And so Special Counsel Jack Smith, with respect to Stan Woodward representing all of these witnesses, wants to address other conflicts like that exist as well. That's that Garcia hearing. Now, similarly here, the other lawyer representing, in this case, Carlos de Oliveira, the other co-defendant who was first brought in the superseding indictment relating to the destruction of surveillance footage. John Irving, it is being stated here in this motion for Garcia hearing, this aggressive motion, appropriately so, just filed by Special Counsel Jack Smith. Special Counsel Jack Smith saying John Irving, who's being paid by Trump's political action arm, is representing co-defendant here. That co-defendant is Carlos de Oliveira, and numerous other witnesses who want to testify against Carlos de Oliveira. And Judge Cannon, that is an unwaivable conflict of interest, so we need to set a Garcia hearing. So there is a Garcia hearing that's already set before Judge Aileen Cannon as it relates to Stan Woodward's representation. Another one likely will be set with respect to John Irving. But you'll recall, remember we did a video on Judge Aileen Cannon's response to the request for Garcia hearing that Special Counsel Jack Smith filed relating to Stanley Woodward? Remember, Judge Aileen Cannon, on her own initiative, struck from the record under seal filings brought by Special Counsel Jack Smith, where he was demonstrating based on grand jury information the conflicts of interest attendant to Stanley Woodward's representation of Waltine Nauta and the various other witnesses. And at the same time, in the same order, Judge Cannon on that Monday bizarrely requested that Stan Woodward and all of the lawyers brief the issue of whether it would be improper for Special Counsel Jack Smith to continue to present evidence of Donald Trump's crimes relating to the theft of classified information and top secret information before a grand jury in Washington, D.C., while there is this criminal case pending in the Southern District of Florida.
60% of U.S. pork production comes from one company owned by China. And their hogs, they're given something called ractopamine, which is banned in 160 countries, including China. Yet you find this in your grocery store aisle every day. There's a better way. I'd like to tell you about Moink. That's moo plus oink. Moink delivers grass-fed and grass-finished beef and lamb, pastured pork and chicken, and sustainable wild-caught Alaskan salmon straight to your door. Moink farmers, they farm like our grandparents did. And as a result, Moink meat tastes like it should because the family farm, it does it better. The Moink difference is a difference you can taste, and you can feel good knowing that you're helping family farms stay financially independent too. I love that Moink is helping save rural America, and I know that you will too. Join the Moink movement today. Shark Tank host Kevin O'Leary called Moink's bacon the best bacon he's ever tasted. And Ring Doorbell founder Jamie Siminoff jumped at the chance to invest in Moink. Plus, they guarantee you'll say, oink, oink, I'm just so happy I got moinked. And I know I do, and I know you will too. Keep American farming going by signing up right now at moinkbox.com/MeidasTouch. Right now, and listeners of this show get free bacon in your first box. It's the best bacon you'll ever taste, but for a limited time. Spelled MOINK box.com/MeidasTouch. That's moinkbox.com/MeidasTouch.
We pointed out here, if you go back and look at the videos, and this was brought to our attention by Andrew Weissman, former federal prosecutor, superstar former federal prosecutor. Wait a minute. On Fox on Sunday night on the Mark Levin show, and Mark Levin talks like that, Mark Levin, he had Jim Trusty, one of Donald Trump's surrogates and former lawyer, on, who made that frivolous argument that it would be somehow improper to have a grand jury in Washington, D.C. while there were proceedings before Judge Aileen Cannon. There's absolutely nothing wrong about that at all. But then Judge Aileen Cannon took those arguments. It seems she was watching Fox. We can't confirm that 100%, but she sua sponte, Latin for she did it on her own initiative, raised these issues like the next morning after that argument was made on the Mark Levin show. So she ordered briefing on that issue. And to me, that would infringe on certain grand jury secrecy issues. What she wants the parties to publicly brief what's going on in grand juries. Meanwhile, she's striking documents that Jack Smith is trying to submit under seal, citing grand jury secrecy. Very bizarre conduct by Judge Aileen Cannon. But nonetheless, there will be a Garcia hearing held there. Similarly, Jack Smith is requesting a Garcia hearing here with respect to Carlos de Oliveira and his lawyer, John Irving. It's worth noting as well, if you want to know the relationships here as well, both John Irving and Stan Woodward are co-counsels together in the Peter Navarro contempt of Congress case for Navarro ignoring the subpoenas by the January 6th committee and refusing to show up for a deposition and refusing to turn over documents. So those two, Woodward and Irving, work together in general on lots of cases and coordinate through the Trump PAC. Ultimately, I'm pretty confident Judge Aileen Cannon will make the corrupt and wrong decision because, let's face it, that's what Judge Aileen Cannon does all of the time. And I expect in the next 30, 45, 60 days, based on one of the wrong decisions she will be making soon, we will see Special Counsel Jack Smith take an interlocutory appeal, although the appeals when we're dealing with CIPA cases, Classified Information Procedures Act cases, which this is because Trump stole classified information, you get expedited appeals directly to the Court of Appeals. In this case, it's the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, which oversees the federal courts in Washington, D.C. They also oversee the federal courts in Georgia, which we'll probably be talking about more with respect to Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis's criminal indictment of Donald Trump and Mark Meadows filing to remove the case to federal court. So you'll see how all of these things play out together. But I expect Jack Smith to take an appeal soon when Judge Cannon makes the wrong ruling. I expect the 11th Circuit Court of Appeal to overrule Judge Aileen Cannon, and then I think we'll see Jack Smith calling for Judge Aileen Cannon to be recused. But with Judge Cannon creating this legal quagmire in her court, and with all of these motions being filed by Jack Smith, it is significant to note that you now have Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis requesting a trial date in March of 2024, March 4th or 5th of 2024. The Manhattan District Attorney criminal case for Trump's hush money payments to porn stars, one porn star, March 25th of 2024. Special Counsel Jack Smith's case against Donald Trump, where Trump was indicted by a Washington, D.C. grand jury for crimes relating to the 2020 election. Well, that case is Jack Smith is requesting is January of 2024. Of course, New York Attorney General Letitia James's civil fraud case against Donald Trump is set for October of 2023. Also, you have the E. Jean Carroll next civil defamation case against Trump, January 2024, and you have a class action against Donald Trump, January of 2024. So Judge Aileen Cannon, in creating this legal quagmire, is basically putting herself last in line right now, which, by the way, I am fine with because she's a corrupt judge. Have the other trials go first, and then hopefully through the appellate process, we can remove Judge Aileen Cannon, we being people who care about law and order, supporting our democracy, and we who follow the rules that are generally supposed to be followed in the court of law. So there you have it. Another Garcia hearing request by Special Counsel Jack Smith, this time as it relates to Carlos de Oliveira, the new co-defendant added in the superseding indictment. Check out MeidasTouch.com for all the new breaking news, the new homepage for MeidasTouch. Also, wherever you get audio podcasts, subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast, and have an excellent day.
Hey, Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.